Thank you very much. I have 20 minutes, and thank you very much for attending this short lecture. Thank you for the introduction. This is me, not the big guy in front. I'm working as an emergency physician, and I'm doing research, and I'm working with development and implementation from both educational systems and technological aspects in emergency. This was my topic, and I think I will give you a short introduction in what is emergency medicine, and then I will hit a little bit on the challenges and future development possibilities. We'll start here. More sound. This is just a little bit scenery of Norway, and this is nice, and everybody is looking at that for emergency medicine. But on the other hand, this is old school. The helicopter is about 50 years old. The navigation system, nobody can use it anymore. And they have no radio to talk to the ambulances by date, because the ambulances are developed further than this old helicopter. So just a little bit overview about the situation. This is an emergency medical system. We have a patient developing some symptoms, and then they decide they need help, or bystanders or relatives deciding they need help. And then it goes on. This is the situation here, and they shall call somebody. But the way from somebody calling to the dispatch center it's not an easy way. We know from research that about 30% are calling a friend or relative in urgent situations. They're not calling the emergency number. They're calling somebody to take the discussion. And of course, they have a big number, they have amount of numbers to choose. This is the dispatch number in Norway. This is a GP on call all over Europe, fire and police, and somebody is waiting for the next day and talk to the GP on call. This situation in Russia, I don't know the sign, but I think the numbers are quite similar, so I would have chosen one of them without knowing what's happening. So knowledge about the structure of an EMS system is important for the public. But going on, what is happening here? The dispatch center, yes. This is a state-of-the-art dispatch center. The screens may be flat now, but it's still, they just do talking. They can't see the patient, they can't hear, they can't use other information challenge. They just do talking. They have a book, or they have this book in a Kindle-like form where they can read and tick, but they try to determine the nature of the call. Usually these are nurses or ambulance drivers. The communication education for them is very short and not well defined, and doesn't take the height for challenges with foreign languages and so on. This is the situation by day. What do we know from research? There's some research to look at the dispatch center and telling us, okay, about 50 to 60% of the calls are judged right. And the other one, they don't know what really happened, and they just judge, is this urgent or not urgent? But you can agree with me maybe that the loudness of the voice has in some of urgency, but this is not really a well-defined area we're working. After the dispatch center has decided that they will call out parts of the emergency medical system, a modern European emergency medical system will send first out these two ladies. These are the first responder in the local municipality. This is more and more used from every dispatch center because they're quite near the location of the accident or the critical ill patient. They can apply oxygen and making simple first aid maneuvers. They will also call out the firefighters. These are 4 to 6 strong persons with an automatic external defibrillator. And these people can provide basic CPR And this is a big help for the emergency medical system by date. And then, after a while, all these will come. We have ambulance cars with different education levels. We have doctors responding by car or helicopter. We have the search and rescue helicopter. We have boats in Norway, and we have boats in every other place where it's suitable. And there's some fixed wing response. We know from northern Norway that about 20% of the fixed wing missions are primary missions. That means the fixed wing doctor and nurse is meeting an ambulance on the airfield, and the patient hasn't been seen by a doctor, just comes direct from the road. This, by short, is an emergency medical system. Looking now at the future possibilities for that, diagnostic and intervention of the future, what do we improve? Where's the need for improvement? Of course, we have to start here with the symptoms and the communication line to the dispatch center. Again, we have a situation, you know the pictures. But what is happening here? In Norway, the government is driving campaigns to inform about symptoms and educate the public that they call the emergency number. This is done by social media, this is done by paper, print, and so on. I think this is a very important aspect. So you, working with business and so on, maybe you would like to see at these possibilities. Reading the literature, we think that the patient of the future or relative of the future is not calling the dispatch center with symptoms, but with an urgency grade by its own, using an app or smartphone device to find out what is really the problem and suggest a diagnosis or a level of response already to the dispatch center. These is things that can happen in the future for on the patient side here. Dispatch center. This is a situation in America if you're sending a text message to the dispatch center. And this is a situation in Norway if you're calling via Skype to 113. But we know, of course, some solutions which take several databases in account. And where you can see a little bit better. But this hasn't solved the communication problem. As long as still it's only voice, we are not in the future. I talked to people here that showed me software where you can access smartphones and that the dispatch center can use every bystander, and maybe all people can have their smartphone, and this information could be fed direct to a dispatch center. By date, no dispatch center is eligible to take this information. But these are government-run organizations who are looking at the patient safety and at the data safety laws. So this is a difficult task. But of course, we should access all data available. We know that there are more and more registers for cardiac arrest defibrillators, but the dispatch center may be not able to access these, and they can't call for help there. So for you, working with development, that could be a way to work. But looking at the response from the dispatch center, what is happening outside when the cars are coming or the helicopter? It's all about diagnostic, triage, and treatment. Diagnostic means that the patient has symptoms, and these symptoms are serious symptoms usually, otherwise I wouldn't have called. And then you shall stabilize the patient and make a primary diagnosis. That's not always possible because you're not in the hospital, but this is a part of work that is done from the healthcare professionals outside. But then you have to find the right hospital for your patient, and maybe you can start already a little bit of treatment. To find the right hospital, this is a map of Norway. The big hospitals are in Stavanger, Bergen, and Oslo. if you're using a helicopter, this will take about 50 minutes. So it will see a patient here can go to Haugesund, Stavanger, Drammen, or Kristiansand. So to decide which hospital is suitable for these symptoms the patient may present is a very critical decision. We know from research, this is from 2017, from February, where they looked at stroke patients, and patient with presumed stroke in the out-of-hospital area, that there are 3 different pathways. That the first contact is going to a hospital which is not able to treat any stroke patient. That would be wrong. But who is taking this decision? Then the other pathway would be a primary stroke center with the state-of-the-art treatment, but not the more advanced treatment to remove the blood clot in stroke patients. And the second pathway is, of course, to go direct to the comprehensive stroke center, and you can transfer the patient from the primary center to the secondary center with ongoing treatment. Why I'm telling you that? Because these ABC are decisions that have to be taken in the pre-hospital area in the future. We know there are clinical examinations with a different sensitivity and specificity, so that means examination can help you. There are development outside using microwaves to determine which kind of stroke this patient has, or we have ultrasound devices that could do that, but these are experimental things. This is also an ultrasound device. These are mobile stroke units with a built-in CT scanner. There are about 20 of them in the world now, so they're not much. But they take the decision in the pre-hospital area by performing the X-ray examination already in the car. The German ones have all people on board to take the decision. These 2 are in the US. They're using telemedicine to make the decision. They transfer both the pictures and the clinical findings by audio-video conference systems, while the Norwegian they're using telephone to make the decision after transferring the picture. So different solution, but no unified approach. But these are different pictures of the patient from the cars. But of course, you can look at this problem of decision-making from another point of view. If you will spread these CT machine all over the place, they are just infrastructure, so it's cheap, and they are remote controlled. There's a system in southern Bavaria doing so. And then you have the CT, you have a simple nurse, the CT is remote controlled from the major hospital, and you have a machine like this, which is talking to the patient. It's remote controlled from the bigger. The patient examination is happening from the university hospital, but the patient in the local hospital without further facilities, but they can start the treatment there. That would be possible for the future, maybe. So what kind of approach to the pre-hospital problems? That's not known by date. Of course, we are all looking for blood biomarkers in the blood to determine if that is a stroke or cardiac arrest or something like that. This is not already available, and probably it will be a combination from blood biomarkers, blood samples, examinations, and clinical findings. Let me give you another example for the challenges of the pre-hospital area. This patient has a cardiac arrest. So that means the heart has stopped and he's dead. Some of these has to start chest compression. I'm sure that somebody has been on courses and have learned these. And then you have to call the dispatch center. They have to identify, because maybe my colleague here and you know that this is a cardiac arrest, but maybe you just tell the dispatch center somebody has fallen down and you don't know what happened. But let us assume that they know they have identified the cardiac arrest. Maybe we send out a drone to deliver a defibrillator to restart the heart if this is possible. There's an advertised film from Denmark. This is, of course, not quite right. She's calling the dispatch center. and they're sending a drone.
The ambulance drone is on its way. Remove his top shirt to uncover his
And of course, somebody should start chest compressions here, so they have forgot this part. But the drone is a defibrillator, but also an audio-video communication possibility, so that the dispatch center has eyes and ears on the scene.
You can put down the phone.
There are different legal problems here, but maybe this is part of the future. I know there are many people here with drone, but you see the camera, and now she's using the defibrillator. There are other parts possible to restart the heart. This is a small machine. It's an artificial heart. You can connect it to the patient. The heart is not beating, but this ECMO machine is providing circulation to the patient. This seems to be future in Scandinavia, but we know from Paris that they're driving out and treat some patient with this machine already outside the hospital. So they're taking the hospital out and treating there. And the European guidelines are also saying that this is a possibility to do so. And you want that if you're doing chest compressions here, that you're starting with this ECMO machine, that you give this patient circulation support immediately on scene. That's not big. This is Lindner in Paris, and this is all the gear that are needed. So this is advanced treatment that you can take out from the hospital. And these are the last pictures in Louvre, on a railway, on the street, in a supermarket. So what is the conclusion of my talk? This is a pre-hospital system, the emergency medical system, and there are several points where the future treatment for the patient could be improved. There are technical solutions needed, there are communication tools needed, and there's, of course, room for advanced treatment. Thank you.